Hello, everybody, and welcome to Journeys to the Fringe. My name is Michael Laurier, and I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Paul Wallace. Paul, how are you today?
G'day. I'm tip-top, thanks. Looking forward to our conversation today.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're going to introduce Todd Standing in a moment. Now, Todd Standing is a Canadian filmmaker and researcher. He directed the documentary Discovering Bigfoot, and he's seeking to prove the existence of Bigfoot, or as they call it in Canada, Sasquatch. He was born in Alberta, Canada, back in 2006. He was an absolute skeptic until he tried to disprove the theories, and as a result, quickly became a believer. He has petitioned the Canadian government to grant species protection to Sasquatch as well, and it's quite a scoop to get Todd on the show. So we will. I'm gonna just play a very quick trailer for his documentary Discovering Bigfoot, and then we'll bring him on and have a really good quality discussion.
With my last bit of battery power in my camera, I was able to film these incredible images in full HD at 50 times optical zoom. You'll feel the fear.
Well, I was definitely feeling the fear in aspects of that little trailer. Todd Standing, welcome to Journeys to the Fringe.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. I would like to start this off, if you don't mind, with a bit of a backstory. Your backstory around how you became involved in this research. Where did this come from, and how did it all start? Because it's absolutely fascinating.
I was studying biology at the University of Alberta here in Canada, and I've always been a tracker. Did a lot of hunting growing up. I knew a lot about the wilderness, and I was gonna prove scientifically that there was no ecological niche for a species like this to survive within. And obviously, there was plenty of room for them to survive, plenty of space for them, plenty of food sources. And then I started working with the best trackers in the continent, which are the native First Nations people and Native Americans, best trackers. They all knew this species is real, and they converted me. They showed me the reality. And even earlier, you said I'm converted me to a believer. I don't believe they exist. I know they exist. I take people out and show them Sasquatch. I've filmed them multiple times. There's many more videos coming. I have DNA, like everything but a body, pretty much is what I've been able to accomplish. And so I know they exist. I film them. I'll continue to do that, and I'll continue to garner the success. It's not going to stop.
Why do you think it's been so difficult for our culture at large to accept the possibility of Bigfoot or Sasquatch? I mean, when we acknowledged the mountain gorilla in the 20th century, the sky didn't fall. Why is this different? Why do we struggle with this so much more?
It's such a big deal. They're the most man-like primate of the species. They're literally as intelligent as we are in the wilderness. They're very spiritual. They're hunters. They're trackers. They're incredibly well adapted to their environment. Like, they are literally, like, to me, they're living superheroes. The abilities they have. So it's not some mountain gorilla, which is an exceptional, impressive species, but I can go hunt and I'll shoot a mountain gorilla. You give me a gun and put me in Africa, and I'm coming back with a body. With Sasquatch, it's not possible, because mountain gorillas are vegetarians. They're not hunters, they're not trackers. The Sasquatch are highly intelligent, highly adapted, amazing beings. They're spiritual. They're literally sentient. Probably the biggest difficulty and why I believe that the governments here in North America won't acknowledge this species and refuse to do anything in any way to acknowledge it. Because I'll take out Fish and Wildlife and show them a Sasquatch. That's what I've been trying to do for 15 years. But they're sentient. So now what happens with land rights? You're talking about they're everywhere. They're all over North America. All the land rights that they'll have, and they're literally an indigenous hominid species. They will immediately garner some kind of land rights. There's never been, you can't compare any discovery at this kind of magnitude. You're literally talking about a species who's interbred with human beings and produced viable offspring. They're bred back in the population. The genetic pool shows that. So this is at a level like nothing you've ever seen before. This species is, they're so fast, they're so intelligent, they're so adept that they have no trouble. I'm an elite level tracker outdoorsman, and they own me. They're literally, the only way I've had success and I do so well is I walk around knowing that they're my teachers, and they come around when they're good and ready, and I attract them by following their rules and adhering to the loving nature and appreciating it. And like the old expression says, when the student is ready, the master will appear, and that's literally the relationship that I have with them. And that's why this discovery is of such enormous magnitude. When it comes, I mean, it'll literally change the world in ways we never even thought possible, because we're from nature and we're very domesticated, very civilized. And it's happened too fast. We're separating ourselves from nature too quickly. And a lot of people don't domesticate very well. Like zebras and moose and 90% of species out there don't domesticate. So they give you Ritalin and they give you drugs, and they say, that you start smoking marijuana to calm down. When these are actual wilderness abilities and skills, they're just really good wild people. And we're finding a way to further domesticate them. And it's not good. A lot of people need to reconnect. Some people domesticate very well and some don't. And there's hundreds of millions of people that aren't domesticating well, and they need this discovery. And even those of us who are domesticated need it. We need to understand that we're connected to nature, guys. You lose nature and there's no life on this planet. See how well we do. Agriculture is not going to save us. If we lose the oceans and lose the environment and poison our water supplies, we are not going to survive. And that's why this discovery is so important to me, because they'll bring people back to wilderness and nature and equilibrium. This species has never had anything but perfect equilibrium in nature. Their niche is hard to detect. They're so perfectly adapted to their environment. And I admire that amongst so many other things about this species.
So this would be your response just then would be the answer to the question. Everyone has smartphones these days with cameras. If they were everywhere, why hasn't somebody taken a really good quality photo yet? Obviously you have, but yeah. And I actually would like to share my screen very quickly, because I've got a couple of these photos and I pulled these off the internet. So for those of you who are watching the video, you can see these amazing photos. Look at that. So you took these photos, didn't you, Todd?
Yeah, those are all photoshops. So none of those are originals. They're all been, the one on the far right, someone messed with the contrast and messed it up. The one on the left, that's Jane. So the bottom photograph is authentic with the branches in her face, but that is a horrible photograph. That's one of my worst. What happened was my video camera, I was under a tree and the snow was melting. I got in through a snowstorm. Yes, the bottom left it would be where there's branches over her face. That's actually a female. She's reddish. But anyways, I mistakenly took a photograph with a camera I hadn't used before, set for low light when it was direct sunlight. So it's overexposed. She's very reddish looking. Her face looks very peaked but she has like a leathery face, like she's got a different kind of skin. So those aren't my best. All the photos you're seeing here, I would list those maybe 5 out of 10, and I have photographs that I'd give like a 9 out of 10. Videos and stills that are very, very, very impressive. And the number one thing you guys need to know is, I don't say, hey, there's my photos, I'm done. I say, here's my photos, survivor man Les Stroud. Come out with me and I'll show you a Sasquatch. Jeff Meldrum, PhD of anatomy and anthropology from Idaho State University, who I showed a Sasquatch to. So I'm not some guy saying, hey, this is repeatable. I do this every year. I had 4 sightings last year. I'll have 8 this year, where people actually see these individual creatures or beings, I'd prefer to call them, hominids, in the wild. They're interacting with us. I take people on an expedition and show them these beings. I have people coming from Australia. I took out Hamish and Andy, for goodness sake, for 2 days.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so this is what I do. This is my life. This discovery is coming. It's going to happen. You can make your complaints that my footage isn't good enough, but there is footage coming. I will get it. As well as I've done before, I have new plans. I have new initiatives. I have a better relationship with these individuals. And I'm kind of done with the whole species protection that I fought and worked for. The government can kiss my ass, literally. I just, I'm tired of all the bureaucracy and crap. I'm literally going to come back with photographs so good this year or next year. It's coming. Like, I'm so close that I will have hundreds of million people that know you can't fake this. This eyes blinking, pupils moving, breath coming out of the mouth, like fully, like these are real beings. And I can get that video. I can make that happen. And when it does, I'll have my own following and people will flock. And right now, the way things are, people don't speak up. Nothing changes. You literally have to fight these governments tooth and nail. You know what's going on in the world, in Australia and all over with the COVID right now, right? So, I'm confident that even now I have a circle of over 100 people that I've taken out that know Sasquatch is real, that I work with all the time. So it'll just expand dramatically. And I can literally use 100 million people to fund and keep this research going once I get the video. And it's people, after I shot video 2 and 3, which are my first ones, people are like, wow, those are impossible. You'll never do that again. You're looking at video 4 and 5. And then there was 6 and 7 in my documentary, and then video 8. And now I've shot 9 and 10 that's in post-production for my next movie. There'll be 11, 12 this year. It's never going to stop. I am never going to stop coming because this species is real. And if I don't prove it's real, something is going to happen somewhere, possibly even in Australia, where they have the Yowie, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
with the encounters that you've had, and you've got up close to these creatures, and you've seen how they look, their shape, their size, how they move, are you convinced through all your sightings that it is a single type of Bigfoot that we're looking at? Is there a range? And how do they differ from, or are they the same as the Yowie or the Mohau or the Yeti or creatures from around the world? Is there a range, or is it really one species that we're seeing all around the world?
It's definitely really one species. There's too many similarities with the stuff I've seen in the tracks from the Yowie, the Yeti. It's literally like they have black bears in China, and we have black bears here in Canada. They look quite different, but if you bred them, they would produce viable offspring still. They've been separated, obviously, for hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of years, but they're still, I believe they're all descendant from a species known as Gigantopithecus. That's what the DNA shows. So, I support that theory, but, and even in the biology, everything, when you just, as difficult as it is at times, when you just keep telling the truth, things start adding up and eventually it all falls into place. It started with the Sasquatch walking in line. It didn't make any sense, and the stride length and the way the hip rotated. Now that we understand the anatomy of them, it falls into, that is exactly the way a giant primate would have to walk, with a mid-tarsal joint and a rotating hip the way they do. And with the the Yowie from Australia, hotter climate, more competition means smaller, more aggressive individuals. And that's exactly what is reported in Australia. So as all species get bigger, like in North America, the deer are small in Texas and they're enormous up in Alaska. The bears, the biggest bears in the world, are the Kodiak and the polar bears, and they're north. So as you go north, the Sasquatch reports get bigger and bigger and bigger. And as you go down to the warmer areas, they get smaller, and that's Australia. So it all makes sense. It all adds up.
Yeah. And it's interesting you mentioned a possible behavioral difference between the Yowie in Australia and Sasquatch in Canada, Bigfoot in America, because reports in Australia of Yowie, especially if you listen to the Indigenous Australian story of the Yowie, it's stay away from them. They don't like us. You don't want to meet one of those. There's nothing positive about those encounter stories. That reflects what you just said, that they're just in a more aggressive space because of the particular niche that they're in here.
Yeah. But also, too, what I've learned, too, is individuals, like, a better example would be anthropologically the Native Americans. There were Cree that'll break bread with you and trade, and there were Iroquois that will, scalp you as soon as look at you. And I'm seeing that here with the Sasquatch all the way through North America. I'm at about 50-50, where I can go into an area, the Sasquatch will recognize, I respect them, I'm aware of them, I follow their rules, and they'll interact with me much more readily. But at least half the time, they don't want me there. So I would assume in Australia, it'll get significantly more difficult. It'll be, more along the lines of 80-20, I would think. But I've got invites too. God, over 12 years ago, a man with a bone in his nose from the Darnum Junk tribe in the Blue Mountain area, an Aboriginal from Australia, sent me an email, said he was dreaming about me, wanted me to come down there. And the stuff that he had going on was amazing. I've been trying to come to Australia, for over 12 years. I need to get down there and, help out and help this discovery move forward, work with people and cooperate, because there's lots of amazing things going on in Australia. I am, when I heard from the Darnum Junk tribe and I talked to different elders, I mean, they know. They're out there. They get it. They know that the Yowie is real. And to me, that's just more than enough evidence. And I've seen they're doing tree breaks down there. The trackways are the same. The foots are anatomically the same. Like, it's obviously the same species. Of course, you'll get disparity, like, especially with us humans. We have different noses, different eye shapes, different sizes. Some people are, bigger, smaller. And the troop that I'm working with, the largest Sasquatch there, who's 9'6", isn't the dominant male. The guy who's like 9'2" is, because he's got, better agility and, better balance and more speed. And you even see that in human species. The toughest men in the world aren't 6'8", are they? Not at all. Look at the UFC. Look at the best boxers in the world. So it's really, everything is just, it adds up so biologically well. And this discovery, wherever it happens, if it's in Australia or North America or China, it doesn't matter. As long as this discovery starts to move forward, the ramifications will be absolutely enormous. It's obviously profound. That's why I'm doing this show. Australia is huge. That's why I did Hamish and Andy. I know they're comedians, and they can come out and have fun, but I took them out to real Sasquatch habitat. They were only out there for a couple days. I need at least 7 days before I can really generate good success. But, they came out, and as funny as they were, they really gave it a shot, and they really wanted to have success. And I do that because this is like Australia, China, with the Yeren, Russia, Canada, the United States is enormous. 85% of my expeditioners and viewership and support comes from the United States. They're enormously supportive of that. So obviously a healthy population of Sasquatch and all the way through North America into the United States. So, and there's a lot more people, a lot of backcountry wilderness hunters, survival stuff is really, really big in the United States. Less so in Canada, unfortunately. You'd think it would be more, but it's not. And that's why you get so much tremendous support, And this is a huge genre. This is Crocodile Dundee. This is backcountry wilderness stuff, Like there's a big niche for this, and it's very exciting. And with the success I'm seeing, it's this discovery. Eventually there's going to be a mosquito drone that shoots in 4K and has 80 times optical and runs off of solar, and they're going to discover the Sasquatch. So it's coming. Yeah. This discovery is going to happen. I know it. I live it. I breathe it every day. And I'm very excited and ready to embrace it when it happens, because we need this. We need to reconnect with nature, don't you think? Like it's not good.
You should definitely come to Australia. I think we've got 40% of the country still unexplored, so there's plenty of niche out there for the Yowie. I put up a video last year, I think it was, on the Yowie, and when I put it up, I was a little bit of an agnostic as to what evidence there was out there for the Yowie. Well, after I got the response to that video, I wasn't an agnostic anymore. So many people contacted me with their personal experiences, and they mentioned the Blue Mountains in particular. I remember one person saying, go to the Blue Mountains, speak to the police, because they will tell you officially the Yowie doesn't exist, but all the police in the Blue Mountains know about them.
Yeah.
And it reflects there's this 2-track layer of information. Ask the locals, you'll get an answer. Ask the officials, and it's a different answer. And I guess it's the same in the States.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have a question for you, Todd, around. So you said that they are descendants of the Gigantopithecus back in the day. So when do you believe, or what does the evidence point to in terms of when did this interbreeding happen? And if it was all of those hundreds of thousands of years ago, why are we not seeing the same density of population of Sasquatch and Bigfoot and Yowie around the world as we do us, for instance, if there's been that much time elapsed?
Well, they're the exact opposite of us in so many ways. You know, they like to live in harsh environments. They don't pick up tools. They live in perfect equilibrium. They embrace nature, and we didn't. We literally built agriculture. We started farming animals, and they never did anything like that. And they really, they saw, because of our example that we've set, they literally look at human beings as walking zombies. How many times do you see people walking around everywhere just staring at a phone? It's almost like a bad dream, isn't it? I mean, didn't they make jokes about this in the old Star Trek, where people would just be zombies and looking at these little objects, and we've never. That's how it is now, and it's scary. You don't even know what's going on. Everything's about social media and looking at your damn phone and getting information. You don't even live your life anymore. And what the Sasquatch realized, I tell this to my expeditioners, they knew a long time ago. There's a story in the native culture where once you accept technology, whatever it is, whether it's fire or an axe or a stick, once you embrace that technology and you leave nature, you can never come back. And the Sasquatch know that. So they literally fear technology. They fear anything domestication because they love being wild. And man, when you see them and what they can do and their abilities, they won't put clothes on because they know that they'll degrade themselves to the point where they'll need clothes. They literally survive naked like a bear, and they're just like a upright bipedal. They're just powerful and intelligent and strong in ways like we don't give. What people don't realize, even chimpanzees and gorillas, they have what's called working intelligence that significantly outsmarts us. They are absolutely off the chart when it comes to in the moment thinking. We can't do that anymore. You know, like if you pop up 50 images to a chimpanzee and he'll tap them all back and see them all. A human being, a genius, can't do 5. That's what's called working intelligence. We figure things out on paper, where we have all this civilized manner to do things, and it's wonderful, and I do embrace it. I love my technology. I am domesticated, but they know that the day they pick up an axe, the day that they start making fires and domesticating themselves, they'll start down that path, and once you go down it, like we can never go back. The greatest survival experts in the world, Survivor Man himself, if I threw him out in the bush and told him to survive without a month, without any technology, he'd be dead in a week. You know what I mean? So I understand, and the picture isn't so complicated, guys. It's really, once you're in it from my side and you see how they love nature, they love the wilderness, and they're really afraid of people that are just like, you know, you drive in with your truck that's pumping exhaust fumes of poison out in the air, you know, dripping oil on the ground with rubber tires banging all through the road, and you think that you're backcountry tough. You don't know the way they move, the way they literally wake up in the morning and go, I'm going to have bighorn sheep or elk or deer or moose or go forage plants. Like, they have wonderful, tremendous abundance, but even their population won't explode like ours because they live in equilibrium. They have rules. Darwinism and survival of the fittest still works with this species. That stuff has been gone from us for, 100 years. People that shouldn't survive, and civilization and domestication, it's a syndrome, and it's really damaging us to the point where society is now being run by sheep. And it's scary. People just, whatever you say, wear a mask, and the government says it, I'm just going to do it. Get a vaccine, I'll just do it because I trust. Who are you trusting? These people do not have your best interest in mind, So they get this, and they're literally like, so many people that I do expeditions like, man, I want to go live free like a Sasquatch, and you can't, and they won't get domesticated, and they're intelligent to the point where they understand these things. They are literally the teachers of all the great wilderness techniques and whatnot that the First Nations and Native American people have been doing. You ever heard of the Great Spirit and the connectivity to nature? The shaman of that are the Sasquatch. That's what Sasquatch means. It means wild teacher. When I go and talk to the natives, they revere this species because they're the ultimate teachers and masters of wilderness. And you're talking about, they've been teaching human beings. They're my teachers, outright 100%. And all of the dozens of people that I've trained, they accept and acknowledge that the Sasquatch are my teachers. And it's hard for them to teach us because we're so ignorant as to the reality of nature and wilderness and the world we live in. And that's why this discovery is so immensely important, and why I fight for this discovery. I battle for it because I want a better world for our children. I want to reconnect to nature, and nobody can do that but the Sasquatch right now. That's how amazing they are. The Yowie, same thing. It'll be the same thing with them. So, and It's very, very important.
Part of the narrative around Bigfoot and Sasquatch in North America is the experience of telepathic communication with them.
Mhm.
Is that
Yep.
something you've experienced, and what's the message that you've picked up from your encounters?
Absolutely, yes. That is one of the reasons we can't outwit them. We can't sneak up on them. They have a level of telepathy that's evolved far beyond like remote viewing and anything you've ever seen human beings do. They're exceptionally above that. It's hard for them to dumb themselves down to communicate with me. I've been learning and training that based on what the Sasquatch have been teaching me. And I do have other mentors. There's movies like Third Eye Spies. Telepathy is now an absolute scientific fact. Universities know it. They study it. It's a reality. The Sasquatch never stopped doing it. It's their number one form of communication. That right there will tell you, how do you sneak up on something that can feel you coming, that knows you're there, that feels your intent? And this is not crazy talk anymore. I can literally, my dog and my son can look at a person and know what that person's intent are. If there's even a cow, sneak up. If you walk up to a cow like sneaking on the ground, the cow will lose its mind. If you walk up to a cow all happy and jovial, cow doesn't care. That's a stupid domesticated cow. You know, when you talk about wild animals and an intelligent being like a Sasquatch, like another thing I'm learning from them is how to, and we call it mind speak, how they communicate through mind speak. My expeditioners are amazing at it. Jane Goodall, Diane Fossey, Rudy Gattigas, they all know about this stuff. They all been feeling it and doing it forever. Really good scientists get this stuff. And that's a major part of this discovery, is that telepathy. How do you compete with a species that not only knows you're there and understands your intent because they feel it, but they can communicate amongst themselves instantaneously? I mean, now even understand a species that communicates that way constantly amongst themselves. Do you know how honest they are? Do you know how they don't understand that I go out and tell everybody, I'm telling you guys, I'm telling everybody, Sasquatch are real. And most people don't believe me. And they don't understand that concept. That scares them. What do you mean they don't believe you? How come you people lie? What is a lie? Because they don't get that concept, because they can't lie amongst themselves. So now are you starting to understand how this species purposely evades us because they're terrified of us, because we're liars, we cheat amongst themselves, we're backstabbers, we deceive one another. Like, they don't understand that, and they fear that stuff. Hell, I fear it, and I'm a person.
I'll tell you what, Todd, the level of intelligence and awareness and wisdom that you attribute to them is amazing. I mean, you're even putting them above us in terms of intelligence and awareness and levels of wisdom and all of that sort of stuff. You know, people might find that real, and I don't find it difficult to accept, but many people would find it very difficult to accept that. To go, well these wild.
That's a really complicated question, because our technology is amazing. And the things that we can do technologically are outstanding. And the way we cooperate using technology is brilliant. But that's very different. You know, that's just, it's so we are literally the masters of civilization and domestication. Love it or hate it, we are. And they are literally, they've got that level of mastery to match us in the wilderness. They're that good. And I can talk to even people who don't understand telepathy. I could talk to a hunter and go, you understand you have to fool the squirrels, the birds, the deer, the wolf to get to a Sasquatch? They read all those things in the ecology. They know when the sun comes up, how the wind's going to change and where to sit for the wind gauge and smell you coming. So even just based on those logical things about the wilderness, they have no trouble evading us. You put telepathy into the mix, forget about it. They understand your intent. I laugh at people that want to go hunt them. Get out of a vehicle with a gun with the thought to kill one and see how close you get to them. Just like that's why it's never happened. And if it does happen, I don't know how it can, because you can't verse these guys no more than you can verse nature. You can't verse nature. You don't go out and verse nature. You're going to get your ass handed to you. I don't care how much you think your civilization is going to protect you and keep you safe. It won't. Bears, mountain lions, deer, elk, those are incredible species that we take for granted. Dozens of them in Australia that I just admire. Incredibly tough species. And why verse nature? Versing it it's preposterous. We're from nature. Cooperate with it, because right now it's an emergency. We need it, man. You think you can't survive if we wreck the water supply? If we stop the oceanic flows, we're dead meat. Like billions will die in a matter of weeks. Like, we need nature badly, and that's why again, I just fight for this discovery, because it breaks my heart the way money is the law of our society. You have money, you'll find a way to do anything and rape anything and destroy people's lives, and money fixes it. When a big corporation murders people, what do? They pay money. Nobody goes to jail. Why? Just give money. And they actually look at it as a business. Well, how many people can we murder, and we'll pay them off, and then we're still profitable? That's how disgusting our society is, and you guys know it.
So the inference becomes then that any photos or videos that are out there from just average people out in the wilderness who happen to catch Bigfoot or Sasquatch on their phone or a camera or whatever it might be, that's intentional on the Bigfoot or Sasquatch's part, that it's actually intentional.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, there's young Sasquatch that get crazy. I've literally seen a Sasquatch mother chase down her young infant in the snow and tackle him to get him out of an Indian reserve. And then he's like straddled by the teenager and the mom to get him home, and you see him run off again and try to get back to the people, and they tackle him again. You can't go over there. So there is life. Life happens. You'll get individuals that run off and do crazy things. We have it, right? So there's always circumstances, and I see them all the time. I've seen plenty of totally authentic. I know these Sasquatch videos are real, and even if they get story and pick up some traction, the Patterson footage is real, guys. You could. I'll have Jeff Meldrum show up and do you a seminar on the Patterson footage, and your jaw will hit the ground. He's got 20 pieces of evidence, every single one of it showing that footage is absolutely, undeniably, 100% authentic. And it'll be a story for a week. Jeff Meldrum proves that has them accepted as a species based on their foot morphology, like PhDs right off, and it's scientifically accepted that the feet are from a living indigenous species. It wasn't even a story, nobody cared. I'm here going, but now we've accepted the species. Not really, nobody cares. It wasn't even a story, no big deal. There's an incredible Sasquatch video. Look, it's amazing. Look at the story. I've authenticated it. It's too much going on with COVID in the news. We're not going to talk about Bigfoot right now. It's not going to sell. Nobody bled, so no big deal. So, but be warned. I'm telling you, there's a piece of footage coming. It's going to happen. Somebody's going to get it, if not me. And it's not about shutting up detractors. It's attracting the positive people that I need to help me move forward with this discovery. And it's going to happen. I did it over and over and over. People always tell me you can't. Watch. And it's going to happen one way or another.
Yeah.
In the 1800s in Australia, they reported Yowie sightings in the news like it was news, and they would just say, oh, there was another gorilla sighting in New South Wales last week between this guy and this guy. You go back 1,000 years, and Leif Erikson just says, yeah, we saw these hairy people while we were over there. And it was just news, yet we seem much more defensive around it now. Why has our culture moved in that direction rather than in a more open-minded direction in the time since?
So what I talked about earlier, we lie, we hoax, we cheat, right? We do things for money and fame.
We did that in the 1800s. So what's changed?
Even Leif Erikson was an honorable man who did great things, and we trusted him, right? Like, they just trusted him. Like, some people, I've heard American people say, like, that man, when he says something, he's walking on water. Like, they just believe it and trust. There's a lot more confidence in that. And now people are just so sick of being hoaxed. And the discovery is so far, it's so hard for people to understand this incredible, amazing, intelligent, powerful, adapted species exists. And I get it, so many hoaxes, so many liars out there, so many frauds. People need to understand, I've been doing this. Like, I went public in 2006. I'm not going anywhere. I keep getting new videos. I keep showing new people Sasquatch. I have better people coming out every year. Like, the stuff I'm doing this year, it's going to blow your mind. The best in the world show up. And this is what I do. Don't take my word for it. Come out with me and I'll show you a Sasquatch. And the best in the world, like Survivor Man and Jeff Meldrum, a new person I'm not going to name this year, one of the greatest primatologists that have ever lived, world famous, incredible man, is coming out. And I'm going to show him a Sasquatch like I always do. And it'll be, but it is forward progress. It is movement. the documentary was good progress. Survivor Man initiative to help with this, with Sasquatch, is enormous. So the discovery is growing. And when Survivor Man says something, that man, I've known him since 2012. He is perfectly honest. He's absolutely truthful, and he knows Sasquatch is real. So it's catching on. It's picking up steam. It's just those are so domesticated and so civilized. It's so hard for them to understand because you're raised in cement cities and don't know anything about nature, and you don't understand the miracle of it. And again, you've been lied to, and there's been hoaxes, and people accuse me of stuff all the time. People will manufacture false evidence and put it out there, do stuff with my photos. Look, Todd's a fraud, and I had nothing to do with that. So it was like that with the Patterson film. That film is real, and for 20, 30 years, people were sure it was. I didn't believe it was real. The liars and the people that damaged the information, that lied, I believed them. Their word was more powerful, because if it bleeds, it leads. You don't want to hear the story about the reality. You want to hear about the fraud, the lies, the cheat. We kind of gravitate towards that. News is all about what's going on bad in the world. There's a million great things people do, heroes that do stuff every day. I want to see news about them, but they're not newsworthy because people aren't interested in that. So the attention goes to that derogatory a lot. And that's why I say 100 million people. I'm very aware there's billions of people on this planet, but there's 100+ million people that want this discovery, that'll assist me and my colleagues in this discovery. And that's enough for now. That 100 million, I don't even know how I'm going to handle that many people, but I will. That's what I train my expeditioners now. I'm training them to go off and teach other people how to do it in Arkansas and Idaho. And I have a guy coming from Australia this year. Oh, yay. Full 7-day expedition. My man, Adam. He's coming out. He's going to learn. He's going to get trained. He'll go back to Australia with everything I can teach him in the time he's here. And then help with the discovery of the Yowie, which I think is going very well. I saw some recent footage of the Yowie that was extremely impressive. Some hard-working people. It was on Discovery Channel. I work with Discovery and History Channel a lot. There's some good stuff. It wasn't much for newsworthy, but I'll tell you, as someone who knows Sasquatch and understands the behavior of that species, I was very, very impressed with the backstory, the front story, and the footage. Very impressed with it.
When you went out in the beginning to disprove Sasquatch, was there a particular thing that really clinched it for you and turned you around?
Yeah, the video footage, video 2 and 3 that I filmed. I literally had people take me out. They stand here and watch. And I filmed Sasquatch. I came home after. My girlfriend left me because I was out to disprove Sasquatch. I came back and said they're real. She's like, well, my family's not going to tolerate this. Have a good life. So really, it's that much of a paradigm shift in people.
Yeah.
But the truth is, with me, I wasn't out to disprove it. Really deep down inside, I've always looked for the truth. That's what science is. It's about the discovery of truth. That's why I gravitated towards it. And that's all I ask of people. Don't go looking for truth or not truth or fake or fraud. Look for the truth. Like, find the truth. Don't try to discover or undiscover something. If you focus on the truth, even in anything in your life you do, anything, you focus on the truth, you focus on the love, and you'll find it, you'll discover it, and you'll manifest that in your life in wonderful ways because you fought for it and you worked for it, and you believed in it. And that's what happened with me. Native people and biologists that I trusted took me out, showed me a Sasquatch, and now I've left them all behind. I just got crazy about it because this is a big deal. This discovery, it's important. It's not just some cryptozoological fun thing of the week. It'll literally change the world in ways we never could have imagined. It's that big a deal. And every day I wake up early and I stay up late at night and I do these interviews talking about it because I'm very passionate about making a major change in this world because I love this planet. I adore it. It's so beautiful. I'm in awe. I can't wait to come to Australia, not for the Yowie, but to see the beautiful reefs and the wonderful species that you have there and the plant life and, all the Crocodile Dundee cool backcountry stuff, right? I want to learn how to forage. And then the Yowie will come around. The Yowie will see me do that and see that I love nature and I'm a good student. And they'll be attracted to come teach me, to take me to another level. And it'll be the Yowie that's non-aggressive, the one that'll appreciate my love and passion. That's why I keep succeeding. I laugh, but yeah, I'm a Sasquatch researcher. I'm not really. I'm a lover of the wilderness. I'm a lover of nature. And I just happen to know that Sasquatch are real, and I keep getting that popping up in my life because I'm a really good student, and I'm very humble about it, and I care a lot.
It's interesting some of the things that you said before around how we, you know, how we always seek that which we want to be. We want to prove our unconscious bias in many ways, right? So people have been told that aliens and UFOs and Bigfoot and all of these things, they're all just, you know, conspiracy theories and lies and all the rest of it. And the problem is that it's been placed to the fringe of society, and so anyone that believes these things and seeks to bring this stuff public are almost ridiculed in some way. And so we always seek to prove that which we want to confirm our unconscious bias. And so when people are faced with the potential reality of Sasquatch existing, unconscious bias goes to, no, that's wrong. That's not acceptable. People will call me crazy, etc., etc. And so it's no wonder that you face a lot of resistance with this. It's no wonder. And so that leads me into my next question, which is, so we've got ridiculous amounts of footprints, casts of footprints. We've got hair samples, DNA samples. You talked before about how a footprint was analysed, and it's like, yes, this is a species of something. We have photographic evidence. We've got video evidence. We've got all these sorts of things. So my question is, what is it going to take before we have something that is undeniable?
It's the footage. I know it. I've really come to.
Even the footage. What? That's fake. It's a man in a suit. It's a this. So
not this. Literally, I'll tell you. This is exactly what happened. So, I had that piece of footage. I was literally 4 feet deep in a Canadian glacier river flowing really fast, and these two Sasquatch, one of them was Jake, a Sasquatch I already filmed, came out and were trying to get me to turn around because there was a grizzly bear hunting me to kill me, like stalking me. And they came out to warn me. And I'm literally in this water filming Sasquatch like you never saw, like nostrils flaring, pupils dilating, perfect cloud weather with no direct sun. I saw his mid-tarsal joint. I'm filming this footage going, the world is never going to be the same. Never. When that bear came charging at me, hit the water like a truck, and I had to spin around to try to save my life, I dropped my camera in the water. And, but I went back, I thought about it, and even if it doesn't convince everybody, it doesn't matter. The footage I need to get, and I can get, and I will get, I will accept nothing but this. It'll convince 100 million plus people, more than that. It'll convince 100 million people to really jump on board and start fighting for this discovery. Because there are things that you can't fake. There's stuff like, and the other thing too is, if it was CG or something fake, I wouldn't be producing the raw freaking footage. My footage, you got to know, CNN, BBC, they've all looked at it. I go, here's raw, brother. You can't fake that. Now there's no CG. That's raw footage, undeniably. One of my videos, a Sasquatch is running faster than any human being, and he's 9 feet tall. So you come back, the BBC comes back and goes, humans can't run that fast. It's running on 2 feet, like only humans can. It's got arms, it's bipedal, and it's 9 feet tall. I can't hire a 9 foot tall actor to run faster than the fastest man in the world. You understand? Like that evidence is profound, but I understand it's not enough. People want more. They're going to get it. I'm going to produce it. I've already got DNA. What the hell? DNA is a story, Brian Sykes of the week and whatever. I've got the paperwork. The DNA has been done. The feet morphology has been done. If I showed up in a court of law and I had a trial like I wanted to do in Canada, which I still might do, I'd have judges, police officers, like doctors, PhDs. I'd have literally 100 of these people from the province of British Columbia alone that would come and testify saying they're real and I saw them. 100 men and women of the utmost integrity would come and testify this species is real. I bet you I could go to 20 towns in Africa, in Australia, and get the same results. So, but that's not my goal. I need this discovery to come to fruition, and I'm gonna have it happen, guys. It's gonna be such like 4K, amazing, perfect lighting. A Sasquatch will be filmed. I'll zoom in on his eyes fearlessly, where you see pupils dilating and eyes blinking with eyelashes. You'll see the creases of his skin. His nose will flare when he breathes. You'll see his teeth and his lips. Like special effects guys will look at this and go, yeah, I couldn't do that. because they literally can't make a perfect gorilla or a chimpanzee. Not yet. Not perfect. So if I went and filmed the perfect gorilla, it's never been duplicated perfectly in Hollywood. And it'll be the same with this piece of footage. It's really just, it's taken me about 3 or 4 years to come to this conclusion and make this decision after the court cases have been exhausted and the DNA has all been done. And I can't shoot one and bring them back. I can't shoot my teacher and bring him home, because even if I do that, you have to understand my intent changes. They'll know that I'm out there to do that. And if you don't get that, I don't know how to explain it to people. It's really like, I've learned it so many times through trial and error. I literally could just think about my camera and I want to get some footage, and the Sasquatch will leave. That's happened to me so many times. They can feel what I'm feeling. They're empaths. This is not rocket science. They're perfectly empathic. The moment I leave that moment that I'm in the Sasquatch with and enjoying that moment, start thinking, man, I need some footage. I need to get it. They're gone. They know that I'm being deceitful and deceptive, but I have a way to get that footage for them to allow for that to transpire. So I've worked out all those details. I have a plan of action, and it's going to happen. The stuff that I did last year with Expeditioners, they were taking apples from me. They were making little Inuksuks, and they were doing little art things for me. And they were coming around like crazy. And I had so many sightings last year. They're ready. I'm ready. The world's ready. It's time that somebody gets that piece of footage, and if not anybody else, it will be me. I will get it done. And you know, it's just 100 million people, Michael. That's all. That's all I want.
Do Bigfoot want to be discovered, or do they want us staying away from them?
Well, even you got to understand, like the tree breaks and the structures that are in my documentary, that's them communicating with us. They literally don't understand how I want to say stupid, because stupid's a good word, but blatantly, like ridiculously ignorant we are. Like ignorant. It's scary. You know, it's taken me, the great John Benenigal, PhD wildlife biologist. He spent his whole life studying Bigfoot. And I showed him about tree breaks. He wasn't so sure. Before he passed away, he was damn sure. That's Sasquatch, man. They're communicating with you like this. Like they'll put a tree break over the trail and they'll pressure break it like it can't happen in nature. And people walk past it and go, gee, that's interesting. Like the level of ignorance that we have in the wilderness, it should scare you. It's actually terrifying to me how people still to this day don't get tree breaks. They'll look at structures, and I'm as guilty as anybody else. I was looking at a structure for 4 or 5 years. So some dude from Alabama came along and said, hey, y'all, the end of that tree is broken off. The whole structure was lifted, and that tree was shoved back in at 90 degrees. The Sasquatch literally built this structure so obviously that a tornado couldn't have done it. And we didn't know until Andy from Alabama figured it out, and we put the pieces together. This is an intricate, detailed piece of art. And the Sasquatch are up on the hill pulling their hair out going, they think that was natural? Like, what do I have to do to get through these guys?
So are the tree breaks a marking of territory?
Well, that's a lot I still have to learn. They're clearly telling us that they're there, and they're clearly what they're doing is they're saying, well, that trail that you made, stay on it. That's cool, you know. And then there's certain trails they don't want us to go on. And then you go on that trail, you find out their herd of elk is there that they survive off of. They harvest and eat the elk. That's their cattle. And you're messing with the elk, scared them all over the place. They just want you to stay off that trail. And it's really simple communication, but nobody, like, I don't even know if it's like discovering Bigfoot was watched by, tens of millions of people. It's all in the movie. And I don't think people are still like, well, and my hair is falling out. And that, like, really? You don't, like, how could you, for God's sake? There's like nothing that does not happen in nature. For even the power it takes, the world's strongest man doesn't have 1/10 the strength to break a tree like that under pressure the way the Sasquatch do. And people in Australia, I've seen the tree breaks in Australia. People look at them and go,
oh, yes.
I've been seeing those forever. That's a yowie. Yeah.
I had the same experience when I first moved to Australia. I lived in the Australian Capital Territory. If I drove about half an hour from my home, I could walk into Corran Forest, and I was forever seeing these tree breaks that were far too high for any person to get up and do something mechanical to the tree, and yet it was a clean break. And I would see it and think, well, that's so intriguing. And then one time I was out walking, I remember I was hearing these rocks being banged together. And I thought, oh, is that a bird out there, trying to break a nut or something? And as I carried on, this was getting louder, these rocks being banged together. And I had no idea what it was. It began to freak me out. So I hurried back to my car and drove away. It was probably more than 20 years before I was able to decode the message, which I think was, I am here, you stay there, or you go. And I wish I'd understood that message looking back.
I disagree with you. What they were saying is, you're special and they like you. And we're here,
that's nice.
and we're communicating with you. It is. There's no doubt in my mind. If they don't want you there, believe me, you're going to feel that pain. It's going to be obvious to you. They were literally intrigued by you. There was something special about you. There's no way a special being like that would reach out to you unless there's something special about you. And yeah, and rock clacking is very wonderful. It's just, they want you to clack back. And if you start clacking back and if you start embracing the moment, you'll build that relationship. It's going to take time. But even the fact that you acknowledged that those tree breaks, that's why it happened. You looked at tree breaks, you said, that's interesting. And they went, he's kind of understanding us. Yay. Somebody who's not completely blind. And they took it to the next level. And then we failed them, right? You need to go back there. You need to go pursue that relationship, because those Yowie, they're not, if they were being aggressive with you, man, I'm telling you, they're big giant primates. You're going to freaking not come back ever. I've heard the story. That is them saying, we like you, we're interested in you, and we'd like to build a relationship with you. And that's amazing. Congratulations.
Okay. Oh, well, I'm really pleased to hear that. I didn't clap back. I did hurry away. I did think perhaps I was in somebody else's territory, but I like your interpretation. That makes me feel better.
Yeah. The truth.
So you've had the DNA sequences done from hair samples. How close are they to us in terms of from a DNA perspective?
Well, I didn't have the full genome. There were other people. Adrian Erickson paid for that, and I have the full genome work done. But what my DNA was they compared it to chimpanzees, and what was amazing was mind-blowing. In fact, I think so. There's a little scale here I'm going to do for you. So it goes, make sure I can see this properly. So it goes orangutan, then you go gorilla, chimpanzee, human, and people thought that our DNA was between chimpanzee and human. It's not. It's further down away. So the Sasquatch are literally, so it goes chimpanzee, human being, Sasquatch. They're less related to the gorillas, orangutans, and chimpanzees than we are. We're closer related to the African primate than they are. And that makes sense because they are literally the indigenous species that left Africa before we did and went off and fought to survive in cold weather like those primates cannot. And they did it first, and they were bipedal first. So it really makes sense. They're literally a bigger, stronger, more evolved hominid than we are. They're the greatest hominid species survival-wise on the planet. And that's what my DNA showed. That's what didn't make sense is we kept doing the comparisons and they kept being off in a way that if they were more like chimpanzee towards the chimpanzee side, when you test them against gorilla, it'd be closer to gorilla, but it was further away from gorilla. So just by deduction, you know that they were just up on that scale. So humans, chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans, literally. And that was so exciting for me, and it made so much sense. That's why the truth will set you free with this stuff, because you just keep banging away at knowing that DNA was, the geneticists kept saying, well, there must be a tainted sample, just stupid things. Again, it's not tainted, dummy. They're all working out. It's all from the same sample. If one's tainted, they all are. They make excuses, right? And at the end of the day, geneticists, most of them that I talked to, were conservative, closed-minded people and wouldn't even open up a discussion with me. They just go, it doesn't make any sense and we can't figure it out. And it had to take, a geneticist, medical doctor that I know to go, oh, they're just a more advanced hominid, and doesn't that truth make sense? And I'm like, of course it does. It makes perfect sense. So it's amazing.
What you just said relates to this next question, which is we don't have primates. We don't have great apes in Australia or North America. So how did the Bigfoot get here? What's the story?
Same way we did. Absolutely. If there's Aboriginals here, they follow the same path, same Bering Strait, and they've always been here, and they've survived, again, in wilderness the way we did not. The Aboriginal people of Australia use fire and tools. You know what I mean? They put clothing on. They have spears. They always did. They always embraced technology on one level or another. They couldn't survive without it. And the Yowie never did. They simply diverged off, staying absolutely connected to nature. And that's even the Great Spirit story that I tell people. A long time ago, the Great Spirit came to man in Sasquatch and said, here's fire, it's technology. It'll keep you warm, it'll protect you, do all these great things from you, but it'll start removing you from the wilderness. And once you go down that path, you could never go back. And the Sasquatch have sat here for 10,000 years and watched us just get enveloped by technology and civilization to the point where we've lost our connection to the earth and the planet and nature. And it terrifies them. I literally dropped an axe on a Sasquatch trail that they take all the time. They literally walk 15 yards around that axe. They won't even go near it because they know as soon as they pick it up, as soon as they embrace that technology, they're going to lose something special. And once you go down that path, you can never come back. And they all know this story. They all live it, because I'll tell you, what the first thing you'll learn about the Yowie and Sasquatch is they love nature, man. They love it. They get everything they need. They're happy. They are free in ways that us domesticated human beings will never understand. Free. They can go anywhere in the wilderness and do anything and survive anywhere. They don't have bills to pay. They don't have any. They're just free, man, in a way that I've learned just makes them so magnificent, makes them such a wonderful species to study. Because to be free like that, like we're always we have bills to pay. We have taxes. You know what I mean? We're part of it. We're trapped. You can't get away from it. You can't. The best you could do is have farmers and dentists cooperating and trading goods. You still need that cooperation. They need none of it. A Sasquatch can go, hell with you, I'm going north, and he'll be fine. Completely alone, completely isolated, but not, because he's always connected to nature. We're learning that about fungus, and trees are all communicating and connected. These are facts. There's a documentary on Netflix called Miraculous Fungi, I think. And it's all about how trees communicate through the sphagnum moss and mushrooms. And these are facts. They're literally talking to each other. They're literally living beings that have knowledge and have feelings. And that's the way vegetation is. And we just think they're stupid plants. They're dumb. Yes. They got nothing, but we're wrong. They're living beings, and you have to embrace that. Stop being so freaking arrogant. And the Sasquatch never stopped doing that, ever. They do it to this day. They embrace it.
This is what a fascinating discussion. I could just go on forever on this. I could. So what are your next steps? What will you be doing moving forward into 2022? What are your plans, and what do you hope at the end of this year, if we were to have another interview at the end of 2022, what do you hope to be able to bring to that?
Well, what will happen is one of the greatest primatologists in the world is coming out with me. That's a done deal. So I can guarantee success with that. This man is a tracker. He's a wilderness expert. He knows more about primates than most people ever will in their whole lives. And I mean, boots on the ground, PhD, amazing, tough dude. So he's going to come out, and I always, with somebody like that, I did it with Survivorman. I did it with Jeff Meldrum. I do it when I'm put under that kind of pressure. The Sasquatch will just come out, though. They know it's coming. They're ready for it. And that'll be huge. To show this man a Sasquatch and have him interact with them will be absolutely enormous. But there's young men that I've been training that are chomping at the bit to go backcountry and do things that I haven't done in years. I've trained people in a cooperation to have their own discovery process. Like I train them to love and appreciate nature and connect to it and survive. And then they have their own journey. And I have all these people, dozens of them now, out there committed to making their own discovery process happen. And it makes this discovery so powerful. And there's so many options that we have right now. And I literally am just, and I'm the yes man. I'm going to do it. It's going to happen. I just move forward based on that truth. This incredible discovery is going to happen. It's coming. I can feel it, just like, the seasons are changing and The whole world needs this. Sometimes you have to go so far down and hit rock bottom before you come back up. And I feel that. And the Sasquatch feel it. All the suffering that people have gone through COVID, either side of it, all the separation, Democrats, Republicans. Like, I see it in Australia. You guys are marching like, you're vaxxed or anti-vax. Now, how horrible is it that we separate now vaxxed and anti-vaxxed? It breaks my heart. Like, it's all these things that we're doing to absolutely separate us. And the Sasquatch are the opposite. Cooperate, get together. And we need this. That's why I feel such success coming so quickly, because the planet is in dire need of this, and they feel it. They're in the universal consciousness. They feel the pain of people suffering, and of the world suffering. We forgot about the environment. Just worry about COVID for 3 years. No, what's happening with the environment? Nothing. We basically, all these oil companies and people that are destroying the planet got a license to do whatever the hell they want, because, hey, look over here at COVID. Don't mind us destroying the planet like we have been, So just a change is coming, and obviously it's the footage that I want. That's really, really the goal. And I just have so many powerful people that are even exceeding me and going to different places that I can't go to, that I've done as a good teacher, as a good shaman. And I feel very positive about just wonderful things. Can you ever just feel something? Like, really just feel it. Like, it's here after all the success we had last year, and so much more. Even I had to go through courts. I'm going to be transparent with you. Fathers have no right in Canada and Australia. And I had my children taken away from me for 3 years. Now I have full custody, and they're back in my life, and I'm so clean now. Even that change in myself, like, my children were abused and living a horrible life of just absolute terror and awfulness. And now they're back with their dad, and everything's okay, and they're happy and healthy. And now I go back in the wilderness clean and just a new man, like, with a new passion for life. And I do it for them. I love my children. I love people. I love society. So I feel like I wake up early to fight for the betterment of our whole planet. And I don't care if that sounds crazy. It's really what I am. All I do is for the betterment and connecting people back with nature. And that has to come. We need it. And it's going to happen. You watch, you wait, you'll see.
Yeah, that doesn't sound crazy at all, Todd. We're in the same page with you. It's a very noble endeavor. And I love when people, do what they do for the betterment of humanity. I mean, this is legacy stuff that you're doing. The work that you're doing provides the foundation and the groundwork. Even if you can't get to the point where you want to get to, it provides the foundation and the grounding for others to continue.
Right? Yeah. I tell people I'm the heavyweight champion of the Sasquatch discovery, because if you make it, if I make it happen, I win. And if you make it happen, I win. I'm undefeatable, right? All I want is the discovery to come forward, and because anybody proves Sasquatch or the Yowie's real, and you're going to see everything I was saying right. All my videos were exactly what they look like. So I have nothing but I just want the truth to come out, and nothing to fear, everything to gain from this incredible discovery. I'd even like to just disappear off of the background, honestly, because I'm kind of a quiet person. I like to not be in the public and not do interviews and seminars like I'm doing now. I'd like to just be quiet and go back to being a humble, private citizen, which I'm not right now. And, that's a dream of mine, just to get back to being, to do my job, set my place. This is the destiny that's set before me. I can't stop doing it because it's so important. And once it's done and finished, I'd love to have other people just take over the torch and retire, because it's hard. It hurts. It's painful. Those backcountry expeditions are tough.
What would your advice be to a humble private citizen watching this conversation and saying, Todd Standing, he's a grown man. He spends his life chasing cryptids. He's living the dream. He's living the dream. How can I do that?
Well,
that's why be to them?
That's why Adam's coming out here. Come on an expedition with me. This discovery is going to happen. I'll train you. I want Adam to go back to Australia, because when the discovery comes, you can't do it without me at this point. I literally have so much information about this species. It's ridiculous, like oceans of knowledge and information that will help the discovery move forward. And everybody knows. CNN knows about me. BBC, New York Times have been all over. They'll call, I'm ready. And then people like Adam or anybody who's on an expedition with, even there's guys in Australia, go to the Dartum Junk Tribe, go to the native people there, find a way to facilitate this discovery in your own way. You don't even need me. Forget that. Just work it out for yourself. There's nothing special about me. I just worked hard and cared and told the truth. You know, a rare commodity nowadays, but you'll keep finding people that are honest and have integrity when you show those traits. You know, I have this incredible circle of amazing people because I told the truth and I always was honest and gave them integrity, and they just give it back to me. And I'm surrounded by it. One of the number one questions you guys didn't ask is, how do you deal with all the haters? And the truth is, I've got 1,000 emails from people that love and adore and appreciate the work that I'm doing that I'll never get to. Why would I focus on the haters? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm too busy with all the love that I get. And believe me, I'm getting 1 million views a month on YouTube and growing, because I just got my children back a month ago and I'm back. And in 6 months, it'll be 5 million views a month on YouTube. Like, I'm killing it right now because I'm just being honest and showing integrity and getting out there. And it makes a difference, and it's enriching people's lives. Just get out there and love nature. Like you. How many people are going to watch us and go, I heard a clack. I've seen those breaks. Maybe there's something special about me. There's no maybe about it. Absolutely, yes. Get your ass back out there and start making that. Maybe you can do it, Paul. Right? Where did all this happen? You need to get back out there. I don't care if it was 20 years ago. So you're hopefully grown into a better, more mature person, and you just go out there, acknowledge those breaks, touch them, smile, love nature, and maybe you'll get the footage, and then I can get your autograph and, you know, come out and fly out to your seminar. Hey, I'm okay with that. I have no ego here. I just want it done. And if it's you, Paul, yay.
Awesome. That sounds like a plan.
Good.
That's amazing. I could just go on forever, as I said before. I'm sure Paul could as well. If it's okay, we might just for another few minutes. So what would you say to those people who, because I've heard a lot of reports, and they're walking through the wilderness, the forest, wherever they're walking, and they say, and all of a sudden this intense feeling of dread came over me, and I felt compelled to just run away. So, so how do you rationalize that with when we're talking about Sasquatch and Bigfoot and their whys and they connect with us and all the rest of it? What is that? Is that like, your intentions are not good, you better leave?
Well, that is a very who's to say that's a Yowie or a Sasquatch? That could be a predator hunting you. That could be your instincts. Animals speak empathically, very much so. Like there's a woman, Anna Bachman. I have her video about mind speaking. The stuff that she did is impossible. She is literally speaking with animals psychically. There's no doubt about it. If you doubt Anna, then you're a crackpot, not her. Because her stuff is, what she's done with big cats and what she's proven is unbelievable. They are literally conscious and aware. So it could be any kind of predators giving you that feeling. That might be the right way to go. The other side of the coin is, if it is a Yowie and he's trying to communicate with you, what our first intention is, we fear what we don't understand. So you are literally being, I don't want to use the term violated, but infiltrated in a way that has never happened. They are literally going to get right into your head, right through the medulla oblongata and the old brain. They're going to touch you in a way that's going to be like, it's going to feel offensive, like more like rape, because what has ever penetrated your feelings like that? Like, we've all had little things. Every single person that's skeptical about this, you ever been sitting in a spot and suddenly, just for no reason, you look and someone was there staring at you? Everybody's done that. I don't care how domesticated. That's empathic ability. You're literally psychic. Wake up. And if you worked on that ability, you would become amazing, like so many people today are. You are empathic. It is real. The more you love something, the more empathic you become to that. So, but I would be very careful. I'm out in the wilderness and I feel like a mountain lion's hunting me and stalking me because he is. And my instincts say, be terrified, but I'm not. I know that's a mountain lion and I know where he is, and I move towards that little bugger and I scare his ass. I make sure that you don't hunt me or my expeditioners. And I recognize mountain lion energy, bear energy, elk energy. I can track these beings based on energy. That's the big secret too. You want to hear the big secret? How those trackers in Australia and Canada, how they can track anything? You know what they're doing? They're following the energy. The same way a wolf will follow scent particles and smell it, human beings have the ability to feel the energy of your particles on the ground and follow you right through rocks. There you know. And the Sasquatch have been doing that for 10,000 years. They've evolved through Darwinism to be an elite, incredible being at it. So we're starting to understand the levels of this isn't so complicated. If you believe in empathic ability, if you believe you have psychic ability, like I just told you, you better believe there are people that can feel scent particles the same way wolves can smell them. and now you're feeling energy from a being that's left behind. So even you can feel trauma in an area. You think that doesn't wear off? An elk was killed and mutilated and died here. I can go into an area and go, whoa, I feel, whoa, like I don't even go there. Something died horribly, was torn apart. And then I go back and I do go there and I see a grizzly bear ripped an elk apart and ate him half alive. So I'm embracing these emotions and these feelings as I learn and grow. And that's the only way you can figure it out. So I would just be cautious again, because it could be so much as a spider could be giving you a tingling in the back of your neck that you are in danger. Mm. So you really have to break it down and differentiate, because it's not just Sasquatch. You're in Australia, man. There's a lot of things that can kill you out there. You better know your terrain. You better learn how to survive out there from the people that know before you go start taking any risks. And be aware that, like a spider can crawl on you and not bite you. But if you're scared and you give it that wrong energy, it bites you. So this is not rocket science. That's why Aboriginal people can have so much success going through there, because they understand their place and they work through it, and they don't want to get bit by a spider, and a spider doesn't want to bite them, and they have that balance between them. And it goes like that through all animals. But it takes time and experience. You need to grow and challenge yourself and train or get trained. It's really important. So the wilderness is no joke. It's dangerous. People die all the time. So until you have somebody, even another empath out there, I have that feeling, okay, that's, here, it's a bear and he's over there and he is stalking us. Boom, boom, boom. I fire a couple shots. Then you hear the bear run off. This has literally happened to me on expeditions. Then we go over there, we see the wide trackway, how he's digging the ground and he was coming, and people, my expeditions are going, I can't believe you just did that. You shot off into an area because you felt a bear and he really was there. I go, of course. I've been doing this for 20 years, guys. I get it. And we are perfectly capable of that. So It just takes training and time. And you know what? I know you guys know this stuff. I can feel your empathic energy. You guys are 100% on board for this stuff. You're there going, absolutely. This isn't even a stretch for your mind, is it? This isn't paranormal anymore. No, it's just simple logic.
Anyone who's had a baby knows that telepathy is our first language.
Right.
Because that's what we have to do when we have a baby that can't speak. That's how we connect. It's our first language. Anyone with a pet knows that telepathy is our go-to language when we're communicating cross species. I think the problem is that in our lifestyle, we get so distracted by all the stuff of making a living, so on and so forth, that we just don't develop it. And I think one of the things that could flow from learning to communicate with another intelligent species occupying planet Earth is the realization that we have to develop this level of empathy and telepathy. And if we did that, I think we would live with each other quite differently to how we do at present.
That's why I'm focused on this discovery. Thank you. See, you're doing it in a 1 hour conversation. You're seeing how important it is, how if we could all feel and be empathic towards each other, we can't lie anymore. We'd realize that lying and mistrust and deceiving one another is toxic and it's a sickness. If we just love and care and show integrity, that's really the way. And we have to shift this, guys, because we're losing right now, aren't we? I mean, I can't go if I don't wear a mask, people are hating on me. If I was to tell people that I wasn't vaccinated, which I am, they get mad at you. People call you a murderer because you didn't get vaccinated. And all I want, people should have the freedom to make that decision, That's all I want is the freedom and even just don't hate on somebody else's choice. It's a choice. They did this to gay people in the 70s in California where they were kicking them out and, not letting them have jobs. Does that sound familiar? You're gay? Oh, you can't have a job. You can't work in the school system. You can't be a doctor. You're gay. Now, You don't have your shot, you can't be a doctor. You can't be a school teacher if you don't have your COVID shot. It's literally history repeating itself. And we look back and go, wasn't that evil what happened? We're doing it again, aren't we? Am I wrong?
No,
You know?
I think you're
No,
exactly right.
Yeah.
I think we allow ourselves to be divided so easily. I think it shows the low emotional intelligence we have that it's so easy to do that to us.
Yeah. And it's hatred. Don't people like, there's a line, and that hatred and that negativity is a sickness, and it eats you up. It'll do
Yes.
the hater more damage than the person he's hating on. You know, and it scares me, and that is one of the primary things that with Sasquatch even talk about is the way they'll teach us how to communicate and have sympathy for one another, and even embrace your wild side. There's a whole other thing that we're not even going to talk about today. The wildness inside you, that beast, that hunter, that predator that so many people have. And here's some Ritalin if a kid has it. Oh, he's got too much energy. Here's a pill. Calm down. He's just wild. And we're not embraced. That's beautiful, isn't it? Not civilization. It's not. So there's so much more to talk about.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. This might be one of the reasons why Bigfoot appears to be so elusive to people, because they can sense empathically this underlying low-level anxiety, fear, and everything that we have that we walk around with most of the time. And as you said quite a number of times today, they actually are afraid of that, because underneath that is fear. Underneath that is the ability that we have to be able to lie and cheat and do each other over and all sorts of different things. And that's totally against and opposite to the way that they live life and the way that they fundamentally are. So it's no wonder that they're elusive.
Yeah. You see, you're in a 1 hour conversation. If I spent 7 days with you guys, you'd come back with a whole new perspective. Well, I could teach you guys how you are connected. I could prove to you that these trees are living beings, and you'll feel it. Like, that's what my expeditions really are. That's why people, most of the time they see a Sasquatch or come back with some success. But even the ones that don't come back with this new knowledge and understanding and appreciation for wildness and wilderness and the earth, and most importantly, their connection to it. That I've had wives who are like, your husband, the husband fights with them to come out. And I get a phone call 2 months later, my husband's coming out with you every year. I don't know what you did for him, but he's a new man and I love him more for it. And he's coming every year. I don't care what it takes to get out there, because he is so much better at so much more loving. He's so much more connected. He's so much, you know, and there is no exception to it. It happens every single time. Come out and drink the glacier water, eat the plants, and survive by the animals, and have no magnetic fields around you. Walk through the forest barefoot, and you know you're drinking water that's literally 20,000-year-old from a glacier that's got nutrients and value to it and life force energy, and it's structured in ways that we don't understand, and it just cleans you. And people just like have the greatest vacation, they call it. I take them out and grind them and terrorize them with Sasquatch and bears and mountain lions, and they couldn't be happier. They literally go home with sore cheeks from smiling the whole time, you know. And it's that's what I want my 100 million to do, is to just go and embrace that. That's what the Sasquatch wants. And once that 100 million's out and going, and all, you know, you're talking about people. There's so many jobs for this. Why aren't there jobs for people guiding and going out in the wilderness and connecting to it? That's almost unheard of. Who does that for a living? I do. But I'm a Sasquatch researcher, allegedly, first, right? So
very interesting perspective. I think Paul and I will probably be on a plane at some point together to come and see you.
Absolutely.
I would love that. Yeah, it's got to happen. So, well, and who knows how this Adam guy is coming up this year. I'm very excited. I talked to him on the phone. He's empathic. I was like, you're thinking this, aren't you? He goes, how'd you know that? Because you're in my head, dude, because you're empathic. That's how these people, I'm picking up these expeditioners that are just powerful human beings that are really connected. Even this guy is kind of isolated himself because he feels people's emotions so much, it overwhelms him. So he's a little more isolated. That's what a lot of empaths get. But yes. I get this guy, I teach him how to shine. Like, don't absorb it, shine. Shoot it off. You're literally the sun. Like, the way you move around, when you become empathic like that, feel what you want. Otherwise, just shine and give off that radiance. He'll get very powerful, and the Sasquatch are going to like him. I know it. And then he can go back and help with that discovery in Australia, which is so important to me. Australia is so beautiful. I've never been there. and I could just see the magnificence of it. I was a huge Crocodile Dundee fan. I don't care if it's cheesy. I just love those shows. And up here in Canada, all our lifties we have Australian Day at all the ski hills because they're all Aussies out here, you know. And I love the Australian people. I think they're just wonderful. The things I hear about them in the news are amazing. I'm so attracted to that place. It's been very painful for me not to be able to get there all this time, but it's coming. It's coming. My goodness.
Fantastic.
We'll be ready for you when you come, Todd.
Absolutely. Yeah, do you have any more questions, Paul? That's a dumb question. I know we have so many questions, but
We could go forever, but I really like the ground we've covered today. It's been a wonderful conversation.
yeah, me too. Todd Standing, thank you so much for being on Journey to the Fringe, and we look forward to inviting you again another time and continue this discussion.
And I'll be waiting to hear from you, Paul.
Cool.
Listen to
All
me.
right, Todd. I'll be in touch.
Get back out there.
Thanks for
Awesome.
today. I will, absolutely. I'll tell you some more stories.
I want to hear it. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Paul. And thank you for watching as well. We'll see you.